All right, folks, I think we are live for a Friday night session. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. I'm going to share this one out real quick. This is going to be a fun one. We got a lot to cover. And did Brad Garlinghouse just swear on stage at Consensus? Well, I'll tell you what, it's pretty dang hard to actually not swear when we talk about what's taking place in this country, what's taking place as far as how this cryptocurrency space is being regulated in this country, or the lack thereof regulations. And obviously regulation by enforcement has been the chosen method here. It got spicy at Consensus. Brad Garlinghouse really calling out everyone. I wanted to really clickbait it up with a title, Brad Garlinghouse calls out everyone, with Brad's face on there and everything, but I was in a rush to get this live going here for a Friday night session. So I just want to say thank you. Sorry, wasn't able to get it juicy with the Brad Garlinghouse, exciting clickbait. But nonetheless, we got a lot to cover, folks. This is not a joke. There's plenty of memes. Memes are fun. Have a good time. But I tell you what, when you see the standard that is being set right now by the XRP Ledger community, and I'm not just going to worship Ripple. I'm not worshiping Brad Garlinghouse or David Schwartz, despite how amazing I think that they are and what they've been able to accomplish so far. And what's yet to be unveiled, it's a beautiful thing. But with that being said, the broader XRP community stepping up at Consensus, showing up and setting the standard in this space, with the utilities now being added by the developers that are working on this ledger, the folks that have chosen to bring their business to this ledger, it is happening. The XRP ledger is the one that is setting the standard at the protocol level, with legal clarity, with institutions that actually matter working and building and using the token, holding the token. Pre-allocation contracts already revealed. The Ripple R3 lawsuit already revealed the deal. It's not a question of, are the institutions interested? R3 wanted $5 billion. So stop being silly. Stop playing around. This is not a game. These guys are going to eat up all that XRP. And by the time it gets revealed, it's going to be too late as far as price action, as far as being able to accumulate this asset at 50 cents, fooling a lot of people. They cannot see the fair market value of what is getting built out right now on the XRP ledger and how that will relate to the XRP token, the native token of this ledger. That's what we're observing and witnessing right now in real time, while everything in our broader analysis on the macro economy, geopolitics, currencies failing, the real estate reset, even though nobody wants to watch my real estate content. I only get a couple thousand views. It's so motivating. I actually love it. I just love it. I'm not going to stop. We will not relent. I know folks want to listen to cheerleaders. They want to listen to hopium, and I'm here to deliver something that is pretty incredible on a fundamental basis for the XRP ledger, for silver, for gold, for running a real business, for bringing real value to the marketplace. That's still a thing. Believe it or not. And being self-sufficient, relying on yourself, your skills, your abilities, what you think, what you're in control of. While we watch this, that, crypto, Trump, politics. And when we bring it back to Main Street, it's a situation that ain't pretty. And I try to make it as interesting as possible when I'm talking about some news that is not a pleasure to share with you guys. But I continue to show up on a daily basis because we're on a mission to get as many people on board with us. Do I like to have a good time? Do I like to have an adult beverage? Cheers. I do. Do I appreciate the memes? And if it sounds like I'm picking on the memes, it's because they're popular. They're fun. And they do bring adoption. That's great. But there's two different realities taking place as far as what we're going to do with these ledgers. You're witnessing that in real time. There's a reason why Brad Garlinghouse is on stage at Consensus calling out Dogecoin, calling out the memes, calling out tokens that were created without no utility, no real problem being solved other than let's drain some liquidity out of some fools, which is what most of this space is. which is not the sexy thing to admit when you're a crypto content creator. But you know that I've been willing to call all this stuff out because I don't have anything to show you. I believe in what I believe in. I give you my analysis on the markets. I don't have any sponsors. If you appreciate what we're doing, I have my website available. It's right there, ZachRector.com. I have community resources available for you. Other than that, I'm sharing with you how I'm navigating this crisis, how I'm trying to stay focused and locked in on my businesses that is part of a program that is repeatable, is scalable. How is your program working out? These guys are frauds, most of them. These guys have no program. These guys are playing around. This is straight silly out here. Whole lot of talking, that's for sure. There's a reason why we've been able to put out daily content. And there's a few others. I'm not the only guy, right? I listen to all sorts of great creators in the space, but there's a reason why we didn't leave during the bear market. There's a reason why we're still here. There's a reason why I never took a shield check. Never will. At least for some token. We're going to stay true to you guys as we navigate through this thing, folks. The rest of 2024, we are just getting started. Strap in. Let's get this session started. I want to give everyone a moment to get on in here before we get started here tonight. It's a Friday night live. I do have an adult beverage. We're going to try to enjoy ourselves as we navigate through this storm. If you don't have a program, like I said, that's repeatable, and if you want to scale it up too, this is a different playing field. This isn't a 0% interest rate, the cheapest interest rates in the history of humankind. This ain't that participation trophy economy anymore. And you can see right through a lot of these guys, can't you? They were talking a game, weren't they? Let's rock and roll, folks. How are you guys doing tonight? I'm going to refresh my chat. I want to make sure that we're coming through live. Shannon, I'll accept the Canadian funny money. Absolute pleasure to see you in here tonight. What a situation up in Canada. God bless you guys. Thank you so much, Shannon. So great to see you in Vancouver, see you in Vegas. We are so blessed. We have surrounded ourselves in this community with some real ones. I tell you what, folks, that, hey, let's have some fun, but golly, do we show up to fight on a daily basis, and that's what we're going to continue to do. I wanted to make sure everybody's doing good tonight before we get rocking and rolling. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our updates. This is a Friday night live session. If you were here for a 10-minute quick clickbait, it ain't going to happen. We got to break down this situation. I got Brad Garlinghouse calling out everybody. We're willing to call it out too. You guys know my agenda. It's only to bring the truth to you, complete allegiance to that truth, and asking the tough questions. How's the program working out? What's the next move? Are we going to actually reveal the truth here and bring accountability and justice? Or are we just going to talk about it? And we're going to call it out. We got a situation to analyze here taking place in D.C. and obviously New York, where President Trump has been found guilty of 34 counts. Folks, we are live with it. In response, Trump campaign has just announced that they've raised a total $52.8 million just online in the last 24 hours following Trump's conviction in New York. I asked the question tonight, is he still accepting XRP? I don't want to give him my XRP, but I just get a laugh out of it. You know what I'm saying? Here we are, and we are live with it because I tell you what, this is backfiring like I don't think they were ready for this. I don't think that they were ready for this. Folks, we are hearing a resounding, just an echo of independence of folks that don't identify as Republican or Democrat, who identify as Americans who want life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on a level playing field. If that is you, please smash that thumbs up for me and drop a comment down below and let me know that we are live and we are rocking and rolling as we break it down. Here's what's happening. It's about to get lit up here in D.C. with Jim Jordan calling on Alvin Bragg to appear for a congressional hearing on June 13th to testify about the political prosecution of former President Trump. You guys know my stance. It is not political. It is let all truth be revealed. And what is your program that you are not going to be distracted from with all of this activity, all of this political theater, everything that's taking place on the world stage, all the places taking place on the Netflix, on the Amazon, on the Hulu, on the TikToky. Do not get distracted from bringing it home for your family right now when we're watching political theater every single day. Now, with that being said, I do have my popcorn. And I am praying. And I just realized I didn't even read Shannon's comment. We just accepted the Canadian funny money and ran. Shannon, God bless you. Cheers and happy Friday. Thank you for keeping us on track and grounded, and that's what we're here to do. If you guys haven't already, please share it out far and wide. Let's roll. Japan having to step in. Already spending $62 billion supporting the yen in April through May. We are reading reports, and we're seeing this as America. I'm going to speak as American right now. We're seeing all these other countries going through currency crisis, and their economies already going into recession. And we look, and it's just another cute data point for us to read off here in the United States of America, where we stay comfy and cozy with the reserve currency status. This party's coming to an end right now. And if too many people think that this is just going to happen over there in Japan, this is just going to happen over there in Russia, this is just going to happen over there in whatever country you want to bring up. These countries are having to go through the recession. They're having to go through the currency crisis. But what are they doing to back it? What are they doing to solve it? These are countries that are backing it with real assets, and then they're actually adopting regulations for digital distributed ledger technology. Plain and simple. How do we settle it? How do we move it? DLT. How do we back it? Real assets, real value. And we're finding out where the real value is at right now in this recession, with personal saving rates hitting the lowest level in over a decade. People are broke. You need to figure out how to bring value to the marketplace and be able to sell yourself, because, folks, it's getting tight. Not just lower class, not just poor, middle class. The richest people that I know right now are counting it all. Figuring out, and they're scared because they got to beg to protect. When you don't got to beg to protect, well, you're just trying to survive. It's a matter of survival. But when you got to beg to protect, well, now you're in panic mode because you're trying to figure out, well, where do I store it? Do I go all in silver? Do I go all in gold? Probably not. But do I need to get some exposure over here? There might be some benefit. Silver up nearly 50% since the start of this year. Gold up over 23% since the start of this year. Outperforming the S&P 500. Outperforming the high-flying stocks that they want to show you on that television every single day. There's two things that the financial media want to push on you, which is the American dream of home ownership in the real estate market, and part two, your 401k, your retirement account being in the hands of Wall Street. I don't care if you want to use a financial advisor. If you want to use Wall Street, that's probably advisable. That's probably good. I'm not here to be your financial advisor, so I appreciate it. I just want you to know what you're invested in and why your money manager has put you in and made the allocations that they have. Because we got to get locked in right now. The 60-40 portfolio just had its third worst year in history. The bonds having their worst year ever. This is not the same program that we can play around with. And here in America, we're finally starting to wake up to cryptocurrency, digital assets, and distributed ledger technology, regulations being considered. What happened today? Joe Biden took a break, came on in, signed a little piece of paper, vetoing the SAB bill. This is the one that was just passed, that was designed really to rein in the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. Biden vetoed it. We were wondering, what's he going to do? We were coming up on a deadline. Next week was the deadline for it. Here late Friday, sneaks it in on a Friday. When most folks are checked out for the day, most folks are heading to go have a Friday night. Not everybody's here with us having a Friday Night Live breaking down all this news, and I appreciate you guys for being here and spending the time with me. He slips it in on a Friday evening. They don't care anymore. Cryptocurrency, digital assets. You know, we have a serious amount of our population that already holds it, already wants exposure. The ETFs have been the most successful ETFs in the history of ETFs, as far as Bitcoin goes, right? We want the Ethereum ETF. We want the XRP ETFs. We want more ETFs. We want large cap funds. We want crypto alpha fund. There's going to be all sorts of ETFs created. And Wall Street wants it too. And they lied to you. Wall Street lied to you saying that they didn't want digital assets. Wall Street lied to you saying that they didn't want exposure to some of these commodities that have absolutely ripped up to all-time high for copper and for gold. And what we're seeing now happen on this legal battlefield, which is exactly what it is. We've gone through it with the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. You guys know the deal. Thankfully, here in the United States of America, we have the states which can force the hand of the federal government by passing bills like this one. Oklahoma Senate passes bill that would give a tax exemption to Bitcoin and crypto miners. The bill now heads to the governor's desk. And I got to give a shout out to Bitcoin Magazine for actually acknowledging that this probably includes more than just Bitcoin. This bill includes crypto miners of all DLT platforms, right? Because normally Bitcoin Magazine likes to just say, oh, Oklahoma Senate passes a bill that gives a tax exemption to Bitcoin miners, instead of saying that it includes every single other blockchain as well. Or you can just come to the XRP Ledger and not have to do proof of work and not have to do, but it's interesting because I'm interested to see what laws get passed in terms of validators as well. You guys already know that some of these folks want to tax it heavy. They want to tax the miners. They would want to tax the validators of the XRP Ledger, even though the XRP Ledger uses essentially no energy, way less energy actually than the traditional financial system uses right now. So you know what their agenda is, though. Collect as much as possible, issue the taxes if they get their way. I mean, that's why Biden vetoed this bill. A response here from Patrick McHenry. The president's veto weakens protections for consumers in digital asset markets and upends decades of custody rules. This is interesting. I didn't even realize that part. Upends decades of custody rules. There's a lot of rules on the books, a lot of laws already there in place. And now, they're trying to button down the hatches even more on their control of your financial markets and the investments that you're allowed to make. By rejecting the bipartisan consensus of Congress, the administration is doubling down on its failed approach. Senate action on FIT 21 is more urgent now than ever. And that's what we need. We need that FIT 21. That FIT 21 bill actually provides definitions for digital assets. SAB 121 was more about reining in the SEC and handing over control to the CFTC. It didn't provide as much as far as definitions in a legal framework and foundation for the space as SAB 121 did. So the fact that they were able to push this through and now it's getting vetoed off by Biden, it's very interesting because, I wonder, of course, how the games are played there in the DC world stage. How much of this, these guys voted for it so they can turn to their constituents and say, oh, yeah, I voted in favor of this bill, knowing very well that Joe Biden was about to go veto it. And we'll see who votes on the second time around. There's already been shown a significant amount of people that want cryptocurrency legislation passed, and we already have the FIT 21 bill up for consideration as well. This is now turned back, and they can pass it with a supermajority to force it through, but they need that 2/3, I believe, supermajority to get the bill passed now at this point after the president has vetoed it, which is a very rare exception for the president to do, to veto this bill. But hey, that's what we're up against. We're used to it, right? We've been battling this out now for 3 years. Stuart Alderati leading the charge here, and we humbly stand behind him. I'm no political savant, but alienating the 20% of voting Americans that own crypto 5 months before the election seems like a losing move. And that's just it. Our country wants crypto. Our country wants the ability to stack assets freely. That includes precious metals. That includes, what we can do with our cash. We got all this, activity with the banks that makes some of us feel uncomfortable. That's fine. That's not, crazy. Just, we're having to set up multiple bank accounts because we don't know if our bank is going to get bailed out. This is from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen as to why we don't know whether or not our small credit union that we bank with is going to be systemically important when they go bust. This is the guidance that we've been given from our Treasury Secretary. If the bank is important enough, if it's systemically important and a big one and our buddies, we'll bail them out. But it's up to us at the end of the day. I'm paraphrasing what took place, but the conversation when Janet Yellen was in front of Congress or Senate, wherever she was having that hearing at, was very simple. It was a senator or congressman out of Oklahoma, I believe, and he's trying to take care of his small regional banks in Oklahoma that serve all the farmers and serve all the small businesses in middle of America that the big banks don't care to take care of. Talking about the Bank of Americas and the JP Morgans and what have you. They don't care about the small-time farmers and small businesses in middle America. But those small credit unions that are serving them, are they going to get the full backstop of the FDIC and the Fed's printing press? Well, gosh, no. Jamie Dimon's going to show up with the deal to buy that bank out, though. You better guarantee that. Just like Jamie Dimon said that they weren't interested in cryptocurrency, and now they're the institutional custodians for the ETFs, and now they have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Now, this is where we're at in this country. Brad Garlinghouse willing to call it out, and I love to see it. If the Biden administration is actually serious about a shift and finally waking up to the crypto electorate, the single most important thing that they can do is demand the resignation of Gary Gensler. Brad Garlinghouse calling him out by name. Gary Gensler and his failure at the head of this agency. What's incredible is there are some people that want to defend Gary Gensler and say, oh, he had no part of going after Ripple. He had no part of going after this. Lawsuit was filed by Jay Clayton, who was a Trump appointee. It's like they want to bring it back to Trump for some reason. He's the head of the agency. Okay? With what, 5, 6 other commissioners? He's one of the commissioners. The rest of the commissioners are showing, like Hester Pierce, that, hey, maybe we should do something else. Where's Gary stepping up and taking the lead as the head of this, this other head of the bureaucracy beast? We have more government agencies than we can keep track of. In fact, we can't keep track of the money even. And now, Brad Garlinghouse is responding because the Biden campaign came out, ramping up crypto industry outreach in surprising tone shift. And this is from the block. So now they want to come across as pro-crypto, but yet they reject SAB with the excuse that this would, basically remove regulation and remove the protection that investors so desperately need. I'm a big boy. Let me invest how I see fit. Please, thank you very much. Everything about our program, it's very simple. Legal, moral, and ethical with a focus on bringing value to the marketplace. It's very simple. And if I find somebody who's got a business, if I find a company, like Ripple that I want to buy private equity in, why do I need to be an accredited investor? Now, they have, if you guys haven't heard about this, they have actually changed the law. So now you can pass the test. I forget what it's called, the Series 65 or whatever it is. You can pass the test, essentially, to get your accreditation and to be able to, invest like an accredited investor in private equity. But if Gary Gensler and this crew got their way, they would take accreditation standard to $10 million. They don't want you to have access to private equity, which has far outperformed the traditional stock market. The S&P 500 at about a 7% return, and private equity been averaging about 14 to 15%. Averaging. Now, most private equity deals, a lot of them actually go to, don't maybe not go to zero, but you don't even see success. But when you hit it right, you hit a big one in private equity, you can hit it far. They don't want you to have access to those markets, though. You're too stupid. You're too stupid. They need to protect you. We're from the government, and we're here to protect you. Now, continuing on, we got to highlight, as I said, XRP Ledger community took over Consensus. This is Phil Kwok, who is the co-founder of the Easy A app, and they have now onboarded, and they're celebrating 134,000 developers coming onto the XRP Ledger through the EZA app. What they're doing is a major success, not just for the XRP Ledger, because they're actually bringing builders to other blockchains as well. But what they're doing over here with the EZA app is they're onboarding a significant amount of developers to the XRP Ledger. And this is a big deal because most developers, most people in the cryptocurrency space don't even know that you can start playing with the XRP Ledger, that we have that native DEX. We were actually the first native DEX for any blockchain. And now we're becoming the first native AMM. That's right. The first native layer 1 AMM. And now we're setting the standard with how we're rolling out all these other additional utilities at the protocol level, completely decentralized, unlike all these other layer 2s and all these other centralized programs, blockchains, cryptocurrencies, and you guys already know the deal. A lot of this space has played with it, but a lot of this space hasn't gotten serious. And the regulations are here, so you're going to have to comply with that. But then going forward, as this market does get saturated with investment and a new wave of liquidity does come in through this coming bull market, you're going to have to show that you have utility, that you can actually solve real world problems that actually matter. That's the difference. Now, I'm going to play this interview. I'm hoping the quality of the sound on this actually wasn't too fantastic. So I'm going to play this. Hopefully it's coming through well enough that we can go through this because I want to listen to this. This is my first time actually listening to this interview. Brad Garlinghouse with CNBC, you know, the biggest guys in the room when it comes to media, financial media, CNBC. Brad Garlinghouse sitting down with them. Let's hear what he has to say. They're going to highlight Ripple donating another $25 million to that pro-crypto super PAC. Crypto industry in U.S. dealing with hostile regulatory environment. We know very well about that. Crypto becoming a presidential topic this election cycle. And you guys see what one side wants to do. Brad Garlinghouse is thrilled about regulatory progress made in crypto in recent weeks. And the SEC approval of rule change to pave the way for spot ETH ETFs is inevitable, along with other ETFs on the way as well. Let's listen in here on Brad Garlinghouse with CNBC.
Here at Consensus, on day one of the conference, you announced that you're investing another $25 million into Fairshake. This is a pro-crypto PAC, and it's also on top of the $25 million that you gave them last.
Hold up. I see Mickle in the chat. Yo, yo, yo. I see you, Mickle. Good to see you, brother. And thank you so much for representing us down there at Consensus. This is what I'm talking about, guys. I mean, Mickle, he's kind of a silly guy, right? You know, I like Mickle. I had a good time with him in Vegas, actually. But even Mickle, right? Even Mickle representing us very well. What are the other ETH guys doing? These guys are wearing bicycle helmets, motorcycle helmets. They're wearing crazy things. They're doing the Vitalik Buterin dance. At least Mickle, is pretty respectable down there. Huge shout out to Mickle for representing and all of the others from the XRP community. We did it well. Brad Garlinghouse doing it the best. Let's go.
Last year, walk me through how you chose Fairshake and how this investment helps build towards your larger thesis.
Look, it's incredibly important that the U.S. is competitive when it comes to the policy and regulatory environment in all things crypto. That's not where we have been, unfortunately. We've really had a pretty hostile regulatory environment in lots and lots of ways. And instead of doing the work to provide clarity and clear rules of the road, we've actually, I think in some ways, the SEC under Gensler has sowed confusion by filing lawsuits that sometimes even contradict each other. So for me, supporting Fairshake even more and even signaling that we're going to continue to do this, it's really about getting people elected who are pro-crypto, pro-innovation, but also are focused on protecting consumers. We think by getting that right mix, we're really moving the whole agenda forward and catching up with what we've already seen in other economies around the world.
So later today, RFK will be speaking. He's at virtually every event I go to. Meanwhile, you had Trump speaking to the Libertarian National Convention this past weekend in D.C., saying very pro-crypto things. He's become more of the crypto candidate. Meanwhile, you've got Biden apparently softening his stance on crypto. At least that's a perception among those in the sector. It seems like crypto is more a part of the conversation than it's ever been before.
Now, this interview was recorded before Biden vetoed the SAB bill.
In this presidential election cycle. Any thoughts on that dynamic?
I mean, it's a magical time to be alive as part of my reaction to that. 10 years ago when I first really got deeply involved in crypto, I couldn't have predicted kind of what we're seeing today. But it's also, I feel like, the inevitable march of progress. These technologies can improve so many ways in which transactions are settled, more transparency, more, faster, cheaper. And so to me, it's that forward progress. The fact that we have what should have been a bipartisan, broadly supported technology, somehow it became partisan. I really attribute that Elizabeth Warren in particular kind of stood out and spoke, I think, misinformation and saying like, well, everybody doing crypto is doing bad things. And just nothing can be further from the truth.
See, this is why I wanted to clickbait it up with a Brad Garlinghouse face on the thumbnail. And I wanted to title this one, Brad Calls Out Everyone, because I'm serious. He called out everyone in consensus. He called out Dogecoin. He's calling out Gary Gensler. I mean, he's just going off, calling off Elizabeth Warren. Brad wasn't holding back at consensus, and I just love to see it.
There's so many examples even here at this conference of incredible entrepreneurs building incredible tools that can improve the efficiency of how financial transactions work. And look, some of our financial system was developed 50, 60 years ago. It's time to bring it into the internet age for the benefit of consumers, for the benefit of businesses. And to fight that progression, that inevitable march of progression, to fight that, I think, is just silly. So I do think seeing it become a presidential topic, isn't that surprising to me? There's a lot of passion. I'm sure you felt it here as well. There's a lot of passionate people about this industry, and they will vote their mind. And I think that's important.
Well, and there are a lot of polls that are indicating just that crypto is increasingly an issue that they care about. Voters in swing states are expressing more of an interest in the digital asset sector.
Now, remember what I showed you earlier in the show. You got states like Oklahoma that are passing exemptions for Bitcoin and crypto miners. You got states like Wyoming that are leading the charge. And this is where, in this country, we have a unique setup where the states can force the hand of the federal government. Beautiful setup.
Than before. We're also seeing a lot of pro-crypto legislation wind its way through Congress. So SAB 121 a couple of weeks ago, FIT 21 passing the House last week, seeing more Democratic support for these laws. Stablecoin legislation, people are more bullish on that than they have been in past years. But do we see these things get to the finish line, signed into law by the end of the year? How optimistic are you?
If you were to ask me whether they get signed into law before the end of the year, I'm probably a little bit skeptical that it happens before the election. As we all have seen, the wheels of legislative progress move slowly and carefully. So I'm thrilled by the progress that we made in the last even 3 weeks. And I think it may have been the most important 2 or 3 weeks in the U.S. crypto evolution ever. But I still think getting the legislation passed may require, after the election, maybe before the end of the year, more likely the first half of next year. But again, I view this as very, very positive because the winds have changed in how the U.S. government is looking at this. And we haven't yet seen explicit decisions from the Biden administration, but you have seen, as you described earlier, a softening of some of the rhetoric coming out of this administration.
And obviously that has now changed. Now we got the veto. Well, what they're talking about, right, is being pro-crypto, softening, right? But what does he actually do when it comes time? Vetoes the bill.
And I think driven by the fact that people understand this is a topic people care deeply about, and frankly, the fact that it's become a little bit partisan. And in a very tight election, this could be a deciding factor.
As you said, the last few weeks have been pretty frenetic in terms of what's been going on in the crypto space. Last week, the SEC, many were surprised by the decision to make the rules change that was necessary to kind of pave the way for these spot Ether ETFs. What was your reaction?
Inevitable. The SEC, I think, has been losing in the courts. They've been losing in the court of public opinion, and I think increasingly they're losing in politics. And so, we certainly saw that happen with the Bitcoin ETF. They were kind of dragged kicking and screaming into the approval of the Bitcoin ETF because of court decisions. And so I think that they knew if they didn't support and approve the ETH ETF, that likely the same thing was going to happen. And so I think that's also a very positive thing. But the SEC lost on Capitol Hill with the vote on SAB 121. They obviously lost in the Ripple case. I think that Gensler has, I think, had a misguided approach to how to regulate this industry, and he hasn't done the work that other countries around the world have done to provide that clarity, provide rules of the road and frameworks, whether it's the UAE, Japan, UK. And we just haven't done that here in the United States.
Now, your ongoing fight with the SEC, it was largely billed as a win for Ripple over the SEC. It was a nuanced decision by the judge. So they said that XRP was not a token in the context of retail use. It was a different story for institutions. Where do things stand with that case right now?
So right now, what the courts ruled and the judge said very clearly is XRP in and of itself is not a security. That's everything to us. That was, these are technologies that should be allowed to kind of breathe and thrive and grow. And to me, it's again, the inevitable march of those technologies, the progress. The case between Ripple and the SEC, we feel like is largely resolved. Most of that went Ripple's way. There's one case that the judge decided when an institutional sales and something called an investment contract, because there's a contract around it, the contract could be a security. And it was deemed that those were unregistered security sales. And so we're in the final, let's say, half mile of that marathon. I think we'll see resolution hopefully this summer. The SEC asked for $2 billion in fines. My estimation is that'll be, certainly in the millions, not the billions. And I think it's, again, just a misguided to even come out and ask for that when there's no accusation or certainly findings of reckless behavior, fraud, or any of those things.
Now, I think that he misspoke there, but we know what he was trying to say, right? The light is at the end of the tunnel. We are very close to this case concluding. He said we're in the first half mile of the marathon. No, we're literally in the last mile. We are there. This case is about to conclude, and now all we wait for is the ruling, the final ruling on remedies. Is there going to be disgorgement? Is there going to be a penalty? Is there going to be fines with interest? And then the case is over, barring any sort of appeal, which is very likely that could happen. So, maybe, I think he meant to say, right, that we're getting pretty close. And you guys know, like he said, XRP in and of itself, that's the deal. If Ripple wasn't going to use XRP, why does that even matter to Ripple? Why did they care about that, right? And like you said, the fine's going to be more towards the millions. It's not going to be in the billions. That was absolutely absurd of the SEC to ask for billions. $2 billion when no one was harmed. In fact, everybody involved made money. That is not how our bureaucracy is supposed to be protecting America's financial capital markets and economy, right? You have two parties that engaged in a business transaction that both made money. And the SEC gets in the way of it, and because of a technicality, right? Because like you said, it had the contract, which they have now changed, and that's firmly why I believe Ripple's continued to sell XRP after the lawsuit. And over the last 3 years, they've sold billions of dollars worth of XRP. They haven't stopped selling, but the way that they are selling has been changed. The contracts have been restructured. These are simple buy-sell agreements with no stipulations, no lockups, no nothing. No expectations of any sort other than you give us cash and we'll give you XRP. And in fact, they've now changed to the point with ODL where basically they're not even holding XRP. They're just tapping in for instant liquidity in and out of the asset in 3 to 5 seconds and they're done. They're not even holding it. They don't get exposure to profit or loss now, right? So everybody involved in the institutional sales that were deemed an investment contract unregistered securities offering all made money. Everybody now going forward, they don't even get exposure to profit or loss. Whether they're using Ripple's lending program, they have line of credit. You can tap into the liquidity hub and tap into liquidity for other digital assets other than XRP, which they have noted here recently, right? But the important part is that they've restructured these contracts and their business is about to get the complete sign-off. You have to understand this. Nobody else in the cryptocurrency space has clarity that, one, the token in and of itself is not a security. You could suggest, right? Many people want to say that, oh, our cryptocurrency meets that definition, meets the same standard that XRP has, that it's not a security. And with the new FIT 21 or the new FIT bill, the way that they've provided these definitions, most tokens would not be a security. That is true, right? But the way that they're sold, that's where it gets interesting. When a project is centralized to when it becomes decentralized, these are the definitions that they've included in the new bill and we will get. But going one step further, if Ripple gets the sign off from the judge that the sales after the lawsuit are not included in disgorgement, fines, and penalty, and to make it simple, signs off basically that that's in the clear, that means that Ripple's business model, as far as ODL goes, has the sign off. Nobody else in the space has that. This is where we start to separate ourselves from the rest of the entire space with a business model that benefits Ripple, but also benefits the broader XRP Ledger ecosystem that's getting exposure to new institutions exclusively. Ripple's not selling programmatically to where retail Joe Blow can get it. When they say XRP's not meant for us, well, look at how Ripple's selling it. Is some XRP able to trickle down from ODL partners like Uphold and maybe others? Maybe, yeah, some, a very small amount. But for the most part, this is exclusively being sold off in accordance with on-demand liquidity. And it's being kept in that pool. The net sales is what you have to look at. And the net sales have been very small. They've been buying back a bunch of XRP. You don't have to wait for my red folder buyback. Ripple's already buying it back for on-demand liquidity, guys. Let's continue, Brad Garlinghouse.
You know, the other settlements that they've done have been represented like maybe 1 or 2% of what's.
I want to give a shout out to the super chats. We had a couple roll in. Crypto Guide with a 20 spot. What's your handle on X? My handle on X is just Zach Rector 7. It's the same. And yeah, you should be able to find me pretty easily. Everything's at my website, zachrector.com. If you're looking for all of our official links, it is all at zachrector.com. And then we have Stu. God bless you, Stu. Checking in from Australia. Appreciate that 15 spot. Zach keeping it real as usual. Test the button. Stu, I appreciate you so much, brother. Thank you so much. And we do have the red folder by our side. Absolutely. Let's go.
It's been involved. And so it's just kind of posturing, in my opinion.
So you're getting into the business of stablecoins. It's pretty crowded, $200 billion, the collective market cap, Tether, USDC, other players. Why now?
Well, look, I think if you look at where the market is going, well, you're right. It's somewhere between 150 and $200 billion today. I think forecasts are that it's going to be somewhere around 2 trillion to 3 trillion. So you know, that's growth of 10 to 20x where it is today. So that in of itself is kind of, those are fun markets to be in, that they're growing quickly. The second is, I think there's likely to be some shifts in market share. Today, Tether is by far the dominant. You know, the U.S. government, for better or for worse, we can debate, but the U.S. government has kind of expressed concerns about Tether and how it operates outside of the United States.
Brad calling out Tether too. Added to the list. Calling out Gary, calling out Tether, calling out Doge, calling out Biden, calling out everyone.
States representing a U.S. dollar. I think the U.S. government is taking the position, well, if you're representing a U.S. dollar, you need to be regulated by the United States. That isn't the case today, and I think there may be some shifts in how that market share. But look, overall, I think Tether will continue to grow. I think USDC will continue to grow, but I think there's a lot of room as that market grows for a Ripple-backed stablecoin.
And what does this mean for XRP? Do the two work in tandem, or does the stablecoin supplant XRP's utility?
Look, we are 100% behind the growth and development of the XRP Ledger and the health of that market and that ecosystem. We think having a stablecoin built on the XRP Ledger actually adds liquidity to the XRP Ledger. We already have been using stablecoins in our payment flows. So this is just kind of a natural extension. We'll continue to absolutely prioritize XRP, but there's times and places where our customers want to see.
Prioritize XRP, you say? Okay, Mr. Bradley Garlinghouse. Thank you.
US dollar to US dollar using a Ripple stablecoin, we think makes sense in those flows.
And when you say your customers, are you thinking about retail? Are you thinking about banks? Are you thinking about, I mean, for a time, you owned 30% of MoneyGram and you were very focused on international remittances. So who is the customer that you're looking at when you say that?
All of Ripple's customers are B2B. We focus on selling blockchain infrastructure into financial institutions. Some that's on custody, that's on payments. We'll continue to really focus on being the leading enterprise-focused blockchain company in the industry.
Do you want to go public?
That's a good question. My pause is, look, today, sitting here, Gary Gensler is the chair of the United States SEC. I'm not really popular inside the offices of the SEC, as you might imagine.
Well, the NYSE president was in that chair yesterday, and she said that she welcomed applicants from the crypto ecosystem, IPO markets heating back up.
Lynn Martin, I think, is a progressive example of where we should be. That's not where Gary Gensler is. And so the SEC has to approve an S1. Going public in the United States for Ripple right now, I don't think makes any sense. I think Coinbase as a public company in the United States.
I just want to note Brad's posture as he gets asked that question about going public, and as he jokes about not being popular in the offices at the SEC. I want you guys to notice just how he was, bouncing around, feeling pretty good, wasn't he? He's feeling pretty comfy, isn't he? This doesn't look like a guy that's been in a lawsuit and had to shell out $200 million against our own government when he tried to be transparent along with everyone else at his company, trying to actually go in and talk with them. In fact, he did. We know from the old calendars, the old meetings that took place with the White House, with the SEC, with everyone, setting up offices in DC. Guy looks way too comfy for any one of us to be concerned, as far as I'm concerned here.
States probably regrets that decision. We've looked at, would we consider going public outside the United States? That, of course, is in the possibilities. Right now, it's just not on our immediate term agenda.
Last year at this time, I was talking to Coinbase about their Wells notice and legal fight with the SEC. It was a much different atmosphere with respect to crypto firms winding their way through bankruptcy court, a lot of criminal trials going on. It just feels like a lot has changed since then. And part of that's the spot Bitcoin ETF. But how optimistic are you? And how much do you feel that the industry has shifted? Like, is there more positivity? Are people more optimistic? Do they feel like the bad times of 2022 are firmly behind them?
Look, I think we're in a more realistic environment. To me, it's not about, optimism versus pessimism, realism. And look, one of the amazing things, and I say things like it's just a magical time to be alive, the crypto industry is somewhere around $2.5 trillion. That's despite the fact, all the headwinds you just described. That's despite the fact that key players have, been toppled and some people are in jail. It's just.
Now, I pointed this out in this morning's update, the fact that NVIDIA's market cap is larger than the entire cryptocurrency space. So you have one stock, which I do believe is overvalued, but nonetheless, it is larger than this entire space. And we're still thinking that, we're not early. We are, in fact, early. Now, does that mean that we're going to make 1,000x returns? Maybe not necessarily, but like Brad said, we still have a 10x growth expected just in the stablecoin space. And that's coming soon. The new wave of liquidity is already arriving. That's why we've gone to an all-time high for Bitcoin before the halving. That's a great indicator of this entire space. Even though I don't hold Bitcoin or care particularly that much for Bitcoin, I respect Bitcoin, and I'm happy to see that it went to an all-time high before the halving with this ETF exposure that blew out my expectations. I'm glad that I underestimated how high Bitcoin pumped after the ETFs. Now, I did call out the bull trap rally and the correction that we got after the day that it was improved, and after that it did correct by over 20%, but then it pumped another 100%. Where did it go back down to 38.5? So not quite 100%, but I mean, you guys get the point. So this entire space right now, as Brad's saying right here, we have easy 10x growth in this overall space yet to come. At this current moment in time, we are smaller than one stock, NVIDIA, which has a market cap of about 2.7, 2.8 trillion. Our entire cryptocurrency space is only about 2.5 trillion right now, just under that.
Despite the fact that we've had all these problems, this to me, the inevitability of these technologies and where crypto is headed remains absolute to me. And I think we're going to continue to see that growth. It helps that we have some of that, I'll just say, cleared out and clarified and resolved so that we can move forward. And frankly, one of the things I'm looking forward to the most, as we talked about earlier, is having that full closure with the SEC, that all of the allegations they made are resolved. We're clear with the court, and we can move forward without that overhang.
Now that was a great session right there with Brad Garlinghouse and CNBC representing us so well. talking about the XRP Ledger, the clarity that we've set on that legal front, and then what's coming in with the stable coins. That's a big deal, right? Because that's what the financial system right now needs to onboard to this new system, is they need to be introduced with what they're comfortable with. Stable coins is something that it's very easy for them to be brought into this space. And like you said, what's the stable coin going to do? I saw a question there in the comments down below, and you guys can start to ask your comments, questions, drop them down below. I'm going to go through some Q&A here. I just have a couple more things to show you guys. But somebody asked, how is stable coins going to make me money? Well, here's the deal. The way that the stable coins are going to make you money is that they provide yield, because a lot of these backings are actually from short-term T-bills and treasury notes are what's backing these stable coins. So these issuers and these platforms can turn around and provide you some sort of yield because they're making a yield. Now, on other platforms that have issued stable coins, you're seeing right now, they're making plenty of money on those T-bills and on those treasuries because the interest rates have gone so high. Now you're making 4 or 5% on your money, right? Now, so this is a great business. And what it's going to do is it's going to onboard more liquidity to the XRP Ledger, more transactions settling with XRP. That's how it's going to affect the XRP in your wallet. See, folks don't know how to connect the dots. They think that something, because it's not a direct connection, doesn't impact XRP's price. There's a lot of people that want to say that ODL doesn't impact price. And to them, I would say, you are almost correct. Almost. Because I would make the technical argument, because these are the type of folks that want to get all technical on us. I would make the technical argument that although it might not have a direct impact on XRP price, because all the transactions for ODL had been going through centralized exchanges too, OTC transactions, now they're starting to use the DEX, which brings orders to the main order book on the DEX, right? But the reason why it does impact price is because the XRP that's being set aside for ODL is an amount of XRP that needs to be considered that is removed from the public, that is not available for me and you, Joe Blow. Although we think with small minds that the 50 billion circulating XRP is a lot, or the total XRP supply is a lot, relative to the markets and the problems that we're solving, it's actually small. Relative to the global population being at 8 billion people, dang near, right? That all want exposure to real value, it's relatively small. But how is it going to impact price? Sometimes it's not always direct. Sometimes you have to consider, well, this is XRP supply that's being locked up. This is why I'm an advocate for memes on the XRP Ledger. Bring your worthless crap to the XRP Ledger, please. Please. Put pixelated penguins on the Ledger. Please put Mickey Mouse memes on the Ledger. Why? Well, the beauty of the XRP Ledger is that folks would have to create a trust line to add that token, to add that NFT, to do that deal, to send that transaction, that buy or sell of that meme coin, that meme token, that meme NFT. You are burning XRP. You are using XRP. You are locking up XRP. Please bring the memes to the XRP Ledger. Now, is that what I expect to take XRP to crazy price predictions? No. That's what would take XRP to some normal prices that I think are well on the way, just like you're seeing in other, ecosystems that are pumping solely on being a meme. I mean, look at the success of Dogecoin at a 20-something billion market cap, almost ready to surpass XRP. I think it already has a couple times a while back. It's been a while ever since. And in the next clip, I'm going to show you Brad Garlinghouse calling out Dogecoin specifically. And you think these guys are willing to call out Dogecoin at a time when Dogecoin is right behind XRP in market cap without some sort of plan to far exceed what Dogecoin is doing right now? Do you think that Brad Garlinghouse gets up on stage and calls out Dogecoin without a plan to far exceed what Dogecoin is playing around with? A 20 billion market cap and, everybody wants to say, XRP is dead, XRP is going nowhere, let me invest in memes. You think Brad's comfortable calling out Doge without a plan to far exceed what Doge is playing with? That's why when I see Brad Garlinghouse speak every single time, his body language and his posture has only gotten more comfortable. He's only continued to call out all of the crap, whether it's political nonsense, whether it's nonsense in the cryptocurrency space, whether it's frauds like Sam Bankman-Fried, whether it's, hey, we've been trying to show up and provide a standard of being in compliance. That's what we've done with our whole business. That's what we're trying to do with the stablecoin. Do you want to work with us? Nope. You want to sue us? You want to make us spend $200 million fighting you? Now, Brad Garlinghouse did swear on stage. I'm about to play this clip, but thankfully, huge shout out to Bank XRP. He did bleep this one out, so you don't have to worry. Okay? And I'll tell you what, I understand why Brad Garlinghouse swear, because I get fired up about this too. I have to bite my tongue I try not to swear because I try to keep it clean in case you guys are listening with the little ones nearby. I try to keep it clean for you guys. But sometimes I slip up, and I get it. I get why Brad Garlinghouse is swearing on stage as well. You guys listen in. He's calling out Doge. Here we go.
It's shocking to me that the United States, the largest economy in the world, represents, the bottom decile of regulatory clarity. I think when you get the real unlock of the United States economy and you get the real institutional money flowing in, I think it's just hard to predict some of the upside opportunity. But the biggest thing I'll highlight, and where does this go? We have to be about more than speculation. I get a ton of when I say these things, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't think Dogecoin has been a good thing for the industry. And I'm not anti-Dogecoin, but it's I don't know what the use case is. I don't know, are there projects being built to solve real utility? And I see lots of real utility across lots of different, chains. And I think that is what is critical. And what's for me, the 10-year prediction has to be about, it's not about speculation. It's about solving real problems.
And like you said, Brad Garlinghouse appreciates a good meme. He appreciates Dogecoin and respects it, but he just doesn't see the utility. And he says it's bad for the industry because you have to understand, when you sit down in a boardroom at some large financial institution and the guys sitting across the table, the guys and gals sitting across your table at this institution, their first experience with crypto is Bitcoin bros being crazy, or it's meme coin kids being wild. And some of you guys are meme coin. I'll call you kids, even though most of you guys are probably older than me. But you get my point. They are learning about Dogecoin and SHIB before Brad Garlinghouse can present a world-changing technology to them. And he's trying to sit across the table and have a serious conversation, and all they know about is Doge. Well, yeah, I saw that Elon the Musk tweeted about Doge and pumped it, or whatever the story is. I saw that SNL skit. Yeah, okay, I'm starting to learn about this crypto stuff. I saw what they were doing with the Doge and the SHIB. And so this is the point where we're at, where we start to really separate ourselves, because you can only have so much free capital and liquidity that comes in for speculation that is based on having a good time and having fun and playing around and making a joke. I start out my episodes by going through the financial market data points, and what did I just read off that is not something that's pleasant to read off? U.S. savings rates fall to the lowest level in over a decade. Personal savings rates hits lowest level in over a decade. People are broke. And the institutions are staying tight with it. The institutions don't play around looking for a meme coin to try to 100x their money. They're trying to save the capital that they got. They're trying to save the business that they got. That this technology not only disrupts, but completely removes the need for them. So unless they adopt it and can still bring some sort of service to their client, they will be lost to this new technology that removes the need for said institution. that's sitting across the table from Brad Garlinghouse as they present their deal, and as they've been able to sign on over 500 institutions. We've lost track of how many institutions are working with Ripple. Or we're talking about dozens of central banks working with Ripple. And the comfort level to be able to call out Doge, to be able to call out Gary, to be able to call out Elizabeth Warren just shows where we're at. Should we be concerned? Should we be worried? Not about the fundamentals of XRP going into price discovery and going towards a more fair market value. We shouldn't be worried at all about that. What we should be worried about is the personal savings rate being at the lowest level in a decade and not being in that situation. Being able to report back to the fam that we're still bringing home the bacon in this economy. Even though the banking cost twice as much as it did just 3-4 years ago. Inflation at 3%. Yeah, okay. Show me anything that matters that hasn't gone up 10-20% in the past 3-4 years. Crypto Guide, I appreciate another 20 spot from you. Let's have a conversation about trading bots. Mine is working pretty well considering, but if we had one that was set up on the automated market maker where multiple people can contribute to one trading bot. The problem, Crypto, I don't know if you're for real or for not. I appreciate the super chat and I appreciate it. Here's the thing, the bots, yeah, basically the AMM is a bot that's already working for you at the protocol level. That's what the AMM is. You're tapping into a bot that's already trading your liquidity that you're providing. You're providing XRP and Casino Coin, and that bot is finding the liquidity between the two. Now, the use of bots, I understand it's happening at a very sophisticated level that I think is a lot different than what bots most of retail is playing along with. You have to understand, and you have to watch out for scammers. Please understand that are literally selling you the same bot that you can get for free. Some of these bots you can get for free, and they're selling them. They're turning around and white labeling the bot that they got for free. They're charging you $100, $1,000. And please understand, watch out for the scammers, watch out for the impersonators. The only place that I talk about my trading is in the Discord group right now. And right now I've been very clear that I'm not making too many active trades right now. I'm in a get liquid is my focus. I'm not buying a lot of crypto these days. You know, 2-for-1 special on XRP is hard to pass up. I've built some positions in some other cryptos during this bear market and have been stacking some bags, but for the most part, I've been stacking cash to stay liquid. As the data point that I just read off to you confirms, it's getting tight out there. To put it in the most simplest terms for everyone to understand where we're at in this cycle. The personal savings actually was at $2 trillion, and it's now down negative. Yeah, we went from having a positive 2 trillion to now negative savings rate. And we actually knew that this was going to hit in March and April, the trajectory that we were on. You didn't have to be a TA genius or use any sort of fancy sophisticated indicators or bots to see that the personal savings rate was going to zero by April. Now, to each their own when it comes to trading bots, though. I'm not discounting the fact that, you know, the most sophisticated hedge funds in the world are deploying bots and quants, some of the smartest kids in the room, to tweak these bots and to observe and manage these bots. So, yeah, as far as trading, I've always said you need to understand fundamental and technical analysis, and you need to develop a strategy that works for you. And a lot of people think that they can deploy a bot, that they can do passive, let me check my bot for 5 minutes per day and I'm going to make a bunch of money. It's not how it works. You got to be monitoring the bot. You also need to understand very clearly what your strategy is. You need to understand fundamentals as well. You need to first off build up some capital. For most folks, they're trying to trade with too little. And you have to start small. You can start for free. You can play around with funny money and fake money. But a lot of folks are talking out of their you know what. They're talking about how they're making all this money. They're not putting any sort of serious money. You know, oh, I put $50 into a meme and at 10x, then I made, you know, $500. Very simply, if it's not repeatable, if it's not scalable, we're playing around. I've always said that. What is a Roth IRA? Well, it's a self-directed IRA that you're able to have a little bit more control over, and one that you pay tax on, and then after that, you can grow it tax-free. Roth IRA is a good option versus a 401k, which for the most part is going to be managed by a financial advisor, money manager for you. So the self-directed Roth IRA is good option. The problem that I have with it is the limited contribution. I mean, what is it, $6,000 to $12,000 per year? Which is something, but I mean, in this economy, what's $6,000 anymore, right? If you have $6,000, do you feel like you're A-okay? Right? If you have $10,000 right now to your name, excess savings that you don't need to tap in, that's just sitting there, excess savings. Do you feel safe? 10 racks? What's that get you now? That barely gets you any sort of breathing room in this economy. You're one medical emergency away. Bad stuff continues to happen to good people on a daily basis. That's why I pray for the opportunity. Does anyone know the best way to get XRP into a Roth IRA? Having cash in hand is good too. Why do you think Warren Buffett has 167 billion? You know, Warren has a problem now. His scale, right? He can't make a move without it being observed, and he'll move the markets too much. So he can't make any stealth moves, and his moves are so big that it really disrupts it. So he's at a scale now where, you know, like he said, if he was smaller, he'd be able to have much, much bigger returns. But the scale that they're at right now, they just can't. And that's why he's in the T-bills and he's just rolling them over, making his 4 or 5%, right? Collecting that yield, rolling it over, and staying liquid. 10,000 is 2 months living expenses, more like 1.5 actually. Shannon, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? After you pay, what do you, I mean, it's crazy. What are we paying now on rent or your mortgage? 2, 3, 4, 5 grand per month? Feed your family? Can you feed your family for $500 a month? No. I remember as a single bachelor spending $500 a month on food. Now, of course, my butt was lazy, so I'd, eat out a lot, but, no. Car insurance, health insurance, especially for the self-employed like myself. And that's why you got to build a real business, because if you're just self-employed, you're in the S quadrant, you're in the most highly taxed. The cash flow quadrant that Robert Kiyosaki explained and taught so well, right? You go from the employee to the self-employed, or a specialist is what the S quadrant is, where you're a high income earner. And you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, or you could be self-employed without a business of size or scale that allows you to breathe, which is many people, which I've been there too. Shit. Whoops. I still, there's a reason why I show up every single day, guys. In both my businesses that I run, I show up every single day. We celebrated Memorial Day this week. I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't do some business. I honor the fallen ones. I'm all about Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and all that. But as far as the holidays go, I mean, other than to spend time with family, you guys know that I don't pull myself away from my work, period. Because like I said, what's 5 grand? What's 10 grand? What's 20 grand? Shoot, you got a nest egg. What's your 401k? You got 100 racks? You got 500? You got a milli? Like the kids say, you got an M in the bank account? Shoot, that almost is more stressful, isn't it? And I'm still learning a lot about these financial markets. I'll be the first to admit that. I'm not a stock market or any sort of financial market guru. I'm still figuring this out. But my perspective comes from being a small business owner that's in the streets every single day selling my services, my products. That's here on YouTube, on Twitter, on X, on the social media platforms, selling my product, which in this case is bringing the news that matters most to you guys with a perspective that you guys find interesting. And maybe sometimes I'm entertaining. Right now, you guys are seeing participation trophy. The climax of it was the last couple years in 2021. And basically the party actually came to an end in 2022. If you look at most stocks compared to gold, it's flatlined over the past 6 years. If you look at real estate versus gold, it's already in decline. You know, and I was thinking about that today too. How when you start to, I'm going to start looking at all this stuff. What's your grocery bill worth in gold? What's your phone bill worth in gold? You know, why are we pricing our lives in US dollars? Maybe it's time that we start comparing. What's our monthly expenses in gold versus what are our monthly expenses in USD? Because I'll tell you right now, the only reason why I'm stacking cash is because it's what I need to buy these assets. And I think that these assets are going to get hit when we go through a correction that I've been, calling for a while now. And I think that we got it in 2022. We absolutely got it in 2022. Folks forget 2022. Bitcoin went from 69,000 all the way down to 15. That's not a crash. No, that's a crash. That's a sacrifice. Commercial real estate, the definition of getting sacrificed. Now, over 2023, we rallied. Into this year, we've rallied off of the expectation that rate cuts are coming. The only time rate cuts come during environments like we're in right now is after the system breaks. After it gets so dang bloody in the streets, metaphorically speaking, of course. Although this time around, who knows what we're up against. By that time, it's way too late. Markets are already correcting. And that's what I expect as we go through the rest of this year. I'm expecting that broader correction in the equities market, which will pull down crypto. But then I am expecting no matter who is elected, the next wave of inflation brings us to a whole new level for this digital asset space. The next wave of inflation takes us to a whole nother level for these assets. Into price discovery, which we've already achieved for gold, which we've already achieved for copper, which we've already achieved for Bitcoin, which we've already gone to in the real estate market as far as the median U.S. home. According to the Case-Shiller Index, we're still hitting all-time highs. According to the volume of transactions taking place in real estate, we're worse than the Great Financial Crisis. We're down to levels that we haven't seen since the early 2000s by some data points as far as pending home sales and as far as activity and volume, the real estate space and the lack thereof. On the flip side, you guys know the worse it gets, the better for us. As unfortunate as that is, it's because we know how to navigate this. We got a program, like I said, that is repeatable, that is scalable, that actually works when the market's downturn, which actually works when interest rates double from 3% to 7% for real estate, For commercial debt, well, same thing. The inflation rate on cost of debt is 100% on just about whatever you're trying to get a loan against. That's an environment where we thrive because the weak are getting squeezed out. The sad part for me is that these are good Americans that tried to do a business, tried to do a deal, tried to do the right thing, got trapped. And I only don't have sympathy for those that work against us blatantly. It's very clear. It's very evil. There's very easy to distinguish those that are just good, honest, hardworking Americans or wherever you guys are tuning in from. This isn't just speaking on America. This is speaking on a broader global macro situation where the economy is in contraction right now as we speak, and other currencies are failing faster than the US dollar. And these are good, honest people that are just working, and the dollars that they earn on a daily basis are devaluing at a pace that is, we can actually say meets the definition of hyperinflation. That's a much worse position than where we're at in the United States. Meanwhile, you guys know that we're, some of the few that are willing to call it for what it is, an economy that is in contraction. You know what got buried in the news this week was that GDP was down to 1.3% in Q1 versus the initial reading of 1.6. Do you think that most platforms went back and corrected the initial reading and made sure it was very clear that everybody knew that the GDP in Q1 was not 1.6, it was actually 1.3, which is well below half of the level that it was at in Q4? The growth rate has decelerated. Is it still growth? Sure, technically speaking. But has the rate of growth decelerated? Absolutely. It's been cut in half. But do they take the time to come on CNBC? I'm not even going to call them out. Do they take the time to come on and clarify that? Hey guys, by the way, the initial reading of GDP was a flat out lie. And even if you want to give sympathy to the statisticians that calculate these lies and manipulate these figures, oh yeah, sure, it's a revision, right? You're trying to give us that initial reading. How many data points come out with the initial reading where they read you off a flat out lie and they don't take the time to come back and correct it? Many of them. Most of the data points that they're reading. Even if the revision isn't too much of a discrepancy, the data itself is a lie. The data itself is manipulated. Now, have we met technical definition by the unemployment figures that are still at what, 3, almost 4%? No. Have we met the technical definition with the GDP that's still positive? No. Are we contracting? Are we decelerating? Yes. When you actually put in the GDP deflator, which is a stat that basically takes the GDP, subtracts inflation, you actually get the real figure of growth. Because as I've been arguing, the only reason why our GDP is going up is because we're charging a higher price for the same goods and services. We are not producing more. We are not, growing, other than we are charging more for the same services and products, which in and of itself is growth in nominal terms. But when you look at the growth as far as producing more value, producing more products and services, no. And that's what the GDP deflator confirms, that the growth has actually gone negative. And call us sick, call us twisted over here in this community when we see these data points, and it gets us excited because we know what's happening. We know it has to be this way. And we prepared accordingly. And we're praying accordingly. And God willing, we're going to create a whole lot of wealth over this period in time. Let's take some more Q&A. What else do you guys got? The best asset is food. It's the price of a bag of gold. Well, that's what's interesting. Even paying a higher price, the quality's going down. Right? So we're paying more and we're getting less of the products and services. That's called shrinkflation. And we're witnessing it every single day. Zach, forget that. UBI will come and it will be available. If you want the handout, yeah. And guys, this is why I'm saying no matter who gets elected, the next wave of inflation takes us to a stupid price for all these assets. And in fact, I shouldn't call it a stupid price because it's the right price. It's towards fundamental value. Now, if you guys have been looking for where do I buy precious metals, where can I get some precious metals, we got some folks that will take care of you. Whether you're looking to roll over the 401k or get it shipped directly at my website, zachrector.com, you just go to my precious metals link and just let us know. You want to roll over 401k, you want the metal shipped directly to you, we can facilitate it. Let's get it done. Because right now, for me, gold near all-time highs, typically, I don't buy assets that are at all-time highs. I'm not buying gold right now, but I really want some. Like, I'm just being honest with you guys. I really want some gold right now. Because the long-term trajectory of this thing, to me, is very clear. The backing of the new system is very clear. The central banks don't hold silver on their balance sheet. If they could, they would. But what they're doing is they're holding gold. They're adding gold at a pace that we haven't seen in 50 plus years, and that's a fact that's not in dispute. And the price for this metal is substantially higher in the East than it is in the West. Gold, the arbitrage opportunity is not as big as it is right now with silver. For silver, we're seeing $35 to $40 per ounce silver being sold in Shanghai right now. An ounce of silver that's being sold in America at a spot price of $32 per ounce right now is being sold at the equivalent of $35 to the highest I've seen being $40 per ounce at the largest online retailer in China, being at upwards of $39 to $40 per ounce. And what they're doing right now is these institutions are draining out the Western vaults, and then they're bringing it over here. Well, not over here where I'm at, but they're bringing it over to the East where they can sell it into the physical market at that arbitrage opportunity, which is substantial. And we just reported actually that India, the country of India, has imported more gold in the past 4 months than they did all of 2023, which was a historical year for India importing silver. In the past 4 months, they outpaced 2023, which was a historical year, which was the third year in a row of a deficit for silver. Retail investors are actually not investing in this metal as much as they have in the past. The demand for this is coming from industry, industrial use cases, and utility for this metal. You do have plenty of retail investors still buying silver. I mean, there's plenty of us in our community. I know some of our community members have been stacking huge amounts of silver and gold. But when we read the silver reports, what they're telling us is very simply, retail investors actually are staying focused in the stock markets right now because they think that they can get a better return over there. Even though silver's outperformed the S&P 500 to start off this year so far. '23 really caught a lot of people off guard. The broader markets were expecting us to go into a recession. We're expecting a contraction. But simply off the belief that financial conditions would ease, i.e. the Fed was going to cut rates, we rallied. We rallied. Inflation continued. Even though the trend was coming down, it was coming down from the peak, which is the same exact thing that it did in the 70s, funny enough. There was a second wave of inflation that took it to a new high, which is exactly what we're being set up for right now. I don't care who gets elected. We got more inflation coming. We got a whole new wave of liquidity coming into this system to backstop it and keep it afloat and to reset it. The banks that are holding all this commercial real estate are in serious trouble. That's why we're nowhere near done with that problem. The banking crisis is nowhere near over. And you guys see what they have planned for us the rest of this year. It's going to be distractions and chaos all through the rest of this year. A former president found guilty. That's where we're at. Yeah, Crypto Guide, I'll take a look at your deal. Yeah, I saw your emails. I'll take a look. Thank you for sending me that. I will take a look at it. Guys, in conclusion, I've never felt more better about this XRP thesis that we hold. I've never felt better about this DLT space, still ready to experience tremendous growth into next year. And I've never felt more sure about my analysis about how things are shaken up out there in the Main Street economy, which I've always said is the biggest, the worse it gets out there, the better for us. That's what my mentor taught me, Mr. Dan Pena. He says he's only had about 5-6 breaks in his life where he got lucky, where he got blessed. And one was his wife. I think he's got, 2 kids, 3 kids. And he says the next one was 2020, the events of 2020. Because it was an opportunity for him and his mentees to cut and slash through the opportunities. And then he said the next one was the Fed raising interest rates. And the next one was the war. Now, my mentor is kind of a sick and twisted old man, but he's been here before. Plenty of times. He's seen this cycle play out a few times, which is why I listen to the old crazy guy who's running there in Angus, Scotland, and he's about to give them a run for his money. I saw a comment this morning. Someone said that they didn't even know that Dan was running for office in Angus, and they live there. And yeah, I maybe I need to go help Dan get the message out that he's got his political campaign now, and he's gonna go give them a run for their money for sure. And we're starting to see a shakeup right now. The folks are hungry. The people are hungry for truth and accountability. And we've always stood on the side of accountability and justice. Justice for all. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on a level playing field. That is my motto right now. I'm probably going to put that on a shirt in our new wave of merch that's going to be dropping here soon. I got some new merch on the way for you guys. I'm probably going to put that one on a shirt. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness on a level playing field. Simple demand. Core Pins, it's been a while since I've seen you, my friend. Core Pins showing up with a massive. Core Pins always comes in so heavy. That's just unbelievable. A fatty 200. CorePins.com. Not an official sponsor of the channel, but they might as well be. Dropping a 200 Core Pins. I appreciate you so much, my friend. Glad to see your channel back. I'm glad to be back here. This is where we belong. Right in this mission. Never felt more clear. Never been more focused and locked in. Having a few of your own little ones will do that. I've always said that was what really kicked it up another notch for me. I was doing business. I was doing deals. I was making money. Found wifey. And then the rest is history. There's a lot in between, but the rest is history. I'll just leave it at that. I feel so blessed. Core Pins, thank you for the super chats. Everybody else that contributed tonight, whether you dropped a comment, whether you dropped a question, whether you smacked that thumbs up for me. I do greatly appreciate it. I'm going to be joining our Discord group tomorrow for a call that I think is going to be important because I want to talk about this setup, some stuff that I can't talk about on the public platforms just because I know we have eyeballs on us. There are people that are trying to infiltrate our community. Been doing this for a while, but it's pretty incredible to the extent that they're willing to go to infiltrate our groups, the way that they're trying to infiltrate this cryptocurrency space and the way that they've activated their actors. We're going to be specifically talking about Solana, the meme coins, the activation of the actors. The Hollywood actors playing their role, the musicians, the Rich the Kids. Who else? Iggy Azalea. Activated. Solana meme coins. Go dump on some kids. Like Brad Garlinghouse said, you know, you're trying to sit across the table from the largest institutions in the world and sell them on this crypto stuff. And meanwhile, you got Iggy Azalea and Rich the Kid and oh man, I love it. All right, guys, I appreciate you so much. Appreciate you so much. Shannon, I did get lucky, didn't I? I got lucky with wifey. I'm so excited, guys. You know, and I just want to say thank you so much. I got some news to announce. We got some good stuff on the way. At the appropriate time, I will announce it. Just feeling so blessed right now. Okay, just feeling blessed. I appreciate you guys so much. All of your support means the world to me. You guys already know how you can do it for me. Just tap it, just smack it, just send it out far and wide. Please share out our content. If you don't want to start off someone with an 1.5 hour long ranting live session, maybe send them some of my short stuff. You can send them a TikTok, you can send them a short, but please help me by getting the word out. It's for the sake of your friends and your family, your loved ones that you care about. Let's get them tapped in. Don't keep all the secret sauce to yourself, okay? Let's share it out far and wide. Everything's at my website, zachrector.com. And I just want to say thank you so much for all your support. Huge shout out to the XRP community showing up at Consensus. Huge shout out to Brad Garlinghouse for representing us so well and calling it out. Love to see it. And I love to see how comfy Brad is. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will see you guys tomorrow once again. Our Discord weekly call every single Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Going to be a good one tomorrow morning. I hope to see you there. God bless.